When you walk through the stockyards, there's subtle reminders of the people that once came here. Famous people that put their stars on the ground, kind of like Hollywood, except these aren't all celebrities. Some of these people are just famous cowboys. Some of them are ranchers. Some of them are known for changing the world. It's easy to look around the stockyards and see these old buildings, and they've been here for so long, and everybody knows the nostalgia about the gunfights that happened here and the good guys versus the bad guys, and you can watch old Western movies and you can see it. A lot of times you hear about the stories about the bad guys that got shot. A lot of times you don't hear about the good guys that died in the crossfire. They don't get memorialized in the same way. So today I want to talk about a man who got shot in the crossfire. So today on Texas Moto Rock, I want to talk about a man, a father, a hero who got caught in the crossfire.
If you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Corey Comperatore used his body to protect his wife and his daughter, shielding them from bullets. The act of bravery and also love is creating a groundswell of support across the country for Corey, and also prayers nationwide for his family.
If you've been following me for a while, you know that I got into doing this because I had a near-death experience where I got hit by a drunk driver while riding a motorcycle. And at the time, I wasn't married and didn't have kids, but as I continued to get older and recover from that, and then I eventually got married and had kids, it's always been in the back of my mind that I could die at any point, and if my kids are little, they'll never really get to know who their dad was, and they'll never really understand having the ability to talk to me or hear my life experience or hear the things that I cared about or I wanted to tell them, or be able to come to me for advice. That's why I started filming myself. That's why I started creating Dadvice, where I try to share a little bit of something that they can come back and watch, and hopefully it helps them at some point. And maybe they'll get to watch and see the things that I do and see Dad actually being an adult and having a life, and see what he did for work. On July 13th, 2024, there was a presidential rally. Donald J. Trump was running for president, and a man showed up with bad intentions He brought a rifle, got on the roof of a building, and took shots at the presidential candidate. There's plenty of news covering that story, and there's going to be plenty more news coming out here in the future. There's still continuing investigations. All of that will be well documented in their history books. Everybody will remember that. That will be a thing that changes not just the history of the U.S., but the history of the world. But what people will forget is that shooter shot more than just the president. He continued to shoot once the president ducked, and he was shooting into the crowd of people that were there. In the crowd, he hit 3 people. All 3 men were fathers, husbands. One of those men was a 50-year-old volunteer fire chief. His name was Corey Comperatore. Not only was the man a volunteer firefighter, but in the moment of hearing the gunshots, he put his daughter and his wife down and shielded their bodies with his body. That's what caused his body to get struck by one of the stray bullets from the shooter. This man has 2 daughters and a wife, and now there's 2 daughters without a father and a woman without her husband. All politics aside, a father died shielding his wife and child from a gunman at what should have been a peaceful event. My thoughts and prayers go out to Corey's wife and his daughters. He died doing the thing that most men wish in that moment that they could do. Everybody grew up watching shows where there's a man being a hero, being tested, and you never really, and you might go through your whole life not being tested, but even then you still hope that when the time comes and the test is there, you're gonna do what he did. I hope I never have to do anything like that for my wife or my kids. But I 100% would do it for my wife and my kids. 2 other men were hit that day. 2 other men were hit. They both are critical but stable. 2 other men were hit, David and James. They're both critical but stable. All politics aside, this was a heinous act. 3 men were shot, 2 were critical and stable, but 1 man lost his life. And in his last moments, he did the most courageous thing a husband, a father, or any man can ever do. He shielded his wife and daughter from the bullets and took them himself. There'll be plenty of news about the shooter. The president getting shot will go down in the history books. That'll always be remembered. But the good man that died, just caught in the crossfire, that'll fade. But not for me. I'm going to put a link down below for the GoFundMe for his wife and his children. This is a bit of a different episode, but it's world news. Pray for Corey's family, and pray for David and James to recover. Their husbands, and their fathers, and they have families that love them. I pray that they can see them again. God bless.